You've got some nerve to challenge me. I'll show you the difference between you and me since you are such an idiot.
Please, stop it.
The next thing I knew, my mother-in-law Kate was laughing and cutting up my clothes, which were important to me. After that, my favorite clothes were thrown away on the floor. It was a gift my late mother had given to me.
Oh my God.
My name is Kim, and I am a 30-year-old housewife. I met my husband Nick through my friends from university years. We met when my friends and I were having a few drinks, and one of my friends invited him over. He then asked me out on several dates, and we began to go out. We got married and lived happily together as a married couple. 2 years after we got married, our son, Tim, was born, and he is now 4 years old. I thought I would be able to live peacefully while watching my son grow up. But then, an unexpected event made my life a living hell. That event was moving in with my in-laws. One day, we were suddenly forced to move in with my in-laws. But as I recall, originally, my brother-in-law and his wife moved in a few years ago at my parents-in-law's house. Then, to my surprise, I learned that my brother-in-law and his wife had already divorced a few years ago. And my brother-in-law is currently living on his own. Nick also had no idea about that either. And as for my brother-in-law and my parents-in-law, they didn't mention it because we didn't ask any information about that. I thought that a family member should notify such an important news. But since we only saw them at New Year's, they might have planned to tell us when we came to see them then. I didn't have any bad impression about Kate, who was my mother-in-law. Whenever I visited my parents-in-law, even though Kate wasn't too friendly, she didn't nag to me about anything in particular, and she had a pretty straightforward personality. For me, I find it more annoying if she nagged about things in particular, so I was very grateful for the distance she kept with me. Plus, my parents-in-law loved my son, so I didn't think it would be a problem for us to live with them. When I agreed to his idea, Nick was happy and immediately contacted his parents. And in no time at all, we started living together at my parents-in-law's place. My father-in-law, Jim, is still working and has not retired yet. And Kate has always been a housewife. I became a full-time housewife when Tim was born. And since it had only been a few years, I had hoped that Kate would teach me many things, including her recipes. But even without having such thoughts, I was forced to do housework, even when there were times I didn't want to. The first day of living together was just a normal day. Both my parents-in-law welcomed us with smiles. And that day, we had a feast to celebrate for new beginnings. But the next day, Kate's attitude suddenly changed.
How long are you gonna be sleeping?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's still 5:30 in the morning, and my head hurts because I was given so much alcohol to drink last night. As a wife, you have to get up before anyone else in the family. Around what time should I get up?
Well, I basically get up around this time, so you should try to get up at 5 a.m. at least. 5 a.m.?
What?
Do you have something to say to me for being a housewife?
No. It's not a good idea to make our relationship worse from day one of living together. Besides, getting up early is good for your health, so I should get used to it anyways.
Well then, please start making lunchboxes for Jim and Nick.
Yes, I understand. And just as I began to cook normally,
What are you doing?
Ow! Kate had slapped my hand, which was holding the knife, very hard.
You're doing it completely wrong.
What am I doing wrong?
Don't think that you'll be told everything. Think on your own.
Oh, okay. I rubbed my hands, which were turning red, as I watched Kate's knife work. But I couldn't really see how her knife work was different from mine. To be honest, I think I cut more cleanly and quickly than she did. Even after that, Kate's bullying didn't stop. She should get furious with me about things that didn't matter, such as how poorly I cleaned the house, how badly the food was seasoned, how crooked my back was, or how she didn't like the pattern on my socks. Kate's anger was like a magma, never knowing when it would erupt abruptly. So, I was pretty traumatized, and it was normal for me to spend my days worrying all the time, trying not to offend Kate or get in her way. It was so hard for me that I consulted my husband about it, but my husband missed my point by saying, "Mom thinks it's for your own good, so be more grateful to her." No matter what I said further, he wouldn't listen to me, assuming that I was just complaining. Somewhere along the way, I began to live each day by killing my emotion, thinking that if I only put up with myself, everything would be all right. If I did that, this house would run in peace. All I had to do was to be patient. 3 years had passed since I realized that I was living like that. As usual, Kate's bullying towards me continued. But since I had been apologizing to her all the time, I was never always subjected to her excessive bullying. One day, however, something horrible and unexpected happened. It happened with my son, Tim, was in the living room with Kate and I. Tim wanted to watch a cartoon that was on and had asked Kate if he could change the channel. However, Kate refused because she was watching her show. After a moment, Tim replied, "Okay," with a frown on his face. But Kate did not miss that moment.
"Hey, Tim, what was the face you just made now?"
"Huh?"
"You frowned, didn't you? I am the second highest position in this house after my husband Jim. You are the second to last position in this house. You are in the weakest position with your mother. So how dare you show your frowning face to me?"
Then Tim starts to cry at Kate's sudden anger.
"You are a man, but you're pathetic for crying to buy forgiveness. I will beat the rotten mind of yours back into shape."
With saying this, Kate tried to slap Tim.
"Stop! Please stop!"
I had to push Kate down. "Don't you dare lay your hand on Tim!" Kate was startled for a moment, but soon her face turned red and she glared by saying,
"Do you realize what you've done?"
She then got up and walked away. Then she came back into the living room holding my clothes and a scissor. I had a bad feeling about this.
Kate? You've got some nerve to challenge me. I'll show you the difference between you and me, since you are such an idiot. Please, stop it!"
The next thing I knew, Kate was laughing and cutting up my clothes, which were important to me. After that, my favorite clothes were thrown away on the floor. It was a gift my late mother had given to me.
Oh my God!
I picked up my favorite clothes in tears. Tim calls out, "Mom!" and gives me a hug while crying to me. I can't be in this place anymore. I finally woke up and decided to pack up my things and take Tim with me to get out of there. Until now, Kate had forced me to do housework every day, and I was not allowed to leave the house without her permission. But I no longer care about that anymore. Seeing my chance, I loaded my belongings into the car, told Kate that I was going shopping to the supermarket with Tim, and drove to my parents' house. My dad Sean, my brother Jeremy, and his wife Gwen lives together. My mom passed away about 10 years ago due to illness, and the clothes that were cut up by Kate were my favorite clothes that my mom had bought me as a gift when I found the job. My mom passed away a month after she gave me the clothes as a gift. So you can imagine how important these clothes are to me. And I can say that they are my favorite memories of my mom. My dad, Jeremy, and Gwen were all immensely upset when they saw the destroyed clothes and heard about all the bullying I had received from Kate. Jeremy told me, "You've endured so much and worked so hard. So, leave the rest to me." Dad also spoke kindly to me and told me that I could take the bath first. It had been years since I had taken the bath first. After the bath, Jeremy and Gwen served dinner to Tim and I. It had been years since I had eaten a home-cooked meal prepared by someone other than myself. I couldn't stop crying. I came to my senses and decided that I would never go back to that house and that I would divorce Nick. As I was finishing dinner, sure enough, Nick called me.
Hey, where are you?
"I'm back at my parents' place." "I won't go back to your parents' place anymore. I also want divorce."
Huh? Divorce? How can you say such a stupid thing?
You have no idea how badly I have been treated by Kate. I can't take it anymore.
Come on, don't be selfish. Now get back here immediately. Not only did Kate try to slap Tom, but she also cut up my favorite clothes. What? And you still take Kate's side?
Then Kate seemed to have taken the phone away from Nick, and I heard a tremendous angry voice coming from the phone.
Stop spouting off all kinds of nonsense to Nick and get your ass back here now. I will never allow a divorce or allow for you to ever leave this house. You are my slave for life.
No way. I can no longer live with someone who destroys my favorite clothes.
Huh. That was a masterpiece. The look of despair on your face when I was cutting up your favorite clothes. It was priceless. Were they memories of your mother? You were so unworthy, which is why I was able to cut your favorite clothes into pieces. I understood. Very well. Thank you for your confession. Huh? Who are you? I'm Kim's brother. Brother? This has nothing to do with you as an outsider. I'm not an outsider. I'm her family. Kim is my precious sister. I recorded the whole thing. What you just said. Huh? I'll sue you for destruction of property after their divorce is complete. Wait a minute. I will also report about this to Nick's company and Jim's company. What? No, please, don't do that. Then proceed immediately with the divorce between Kim and Nick. Of course, Tim will be taken by Kim, and all the child support will be covered by Nick. No way. If you don't agree to these conditions, I will spread the word to your neighbors that you try to abuse my nephew. Okay, I understand. So please don't do that. Then please tell Nick to come over to this place and have the divorce papers signed.
And in no time, Jeremy had Nick promise to divorce me. And a few days later, I waited for Nick at the cafe, and Jeremy also accompanied me. My husband awkwardly came in alone and signed the divorce papers.
Well then, we'll file these papers. You won't report this to my company, right? I won't report you or Jim's company.
Nick looked relieved as he left the cafe. With this, Nick and I had divorced smoothly. Nick also paid me child support at once.
Well, let's begin our real plan then.
After this, I filed a lawsuit against Kate for destruction of property and demanded alimony as instructed by Jeremy. And I reported these events to Nick and Jim's company. As a result, both Nick and Jim's career are affected because they are now known as bystanders who only silently watch Kate's unbelievable behavior and doing nothing about it from their co-workers. Nick contacted me saying,
"That's not what you promised."
But I responded to him, "My brother said he wouldn't report it, but I never said that I wouldn't report it." This was my brother's plan all along. My brother decided that the only way to deal with unreasonable people was to be unreasonable, and to thoroughly have Nick and his parents suffer the consequences. Of course, we reported all of Kate's unbelievable behavior to their whole neighbor. As a result, Kate is no longer spoken to by anyone and nobody wants to get involved with her. Whenever Kate walked outside, people in the community spread the word about her to the extent that mothers with their children would move to hide and protect their children. As a result, Kate became completely depressed and withdrawn and doesn't go outside at all. It's a really nice feeling to get back at them. Meanwhile, I have fully returned to my parents' place, began working a new job, and I'm also working hard as a single mother. Back at home, Jeremy and Gwen and my retired father would take care of Tim and support him. Tim is definitely enjoying his life surrounded by his kind aunt and uncle. I really can't thank Jeremy enough for his full support. Next time I have some money saved up, I would like to take my whole family on a trip. Thank you for watching until the end. Please subscribe to our channel. See you in the next video.
My name is Jane, and I am a 30-year-old office worker. Recently, my boyfriend Kevin proposed to me and we got married. Kevin was kind to me when we were dating and did house chores with me. He has a low-paying job, but he seems to be doing a good job at his work and is doing his best. I was hoping that his salary would increase in the future. We are currently living in a slightly smaller rental apartment. For me, I'd like to buy the condo with a little more space. So, I'm actually saving money little by little. Kevin, on the other hand, does not seem to be saving much money. Well, it's inedible because his salary is low to begin with, but I still feel that he wastes a lot of money. For instance, he buys video games and manages without any hesitation, and goes out drinking and buys drinks for his juniors. I once warned him about that, but he fought against by saying, "It's my money, so I can spend it as I like." Well, it is true that we have separate wallets as a couple, and I do spend some money on cosmetics and such. So, I'm not really denying Kevin's way of using his own money. However, I at least prioritize on saving money and then spend on things when I can afford to. I don't spend it without thinking, and I don't get into a tight spot before payday, like Kevin does. Before we got married, he was not the type to buy all kinds of things like he does now. Plus, he used to take me to good restaurants and give me gifts. And I even felt guilty that was why he was running out of money. There are other things that have changed between before and after our marriage. It was something like Kevin's view of the family. Before we got married, we were both working and we knew we both had to be independent, so we shared the housework and other chores. When I was busy working late, he even cooked dinner for me. But now he leaves everything to me. He doesn't do any housework or any cooking. Nothing. If I don't do anything, the room gets dirtier and dirtier, so that I have to be the one to do the cleaning myself, even when I'm exhausted. It's the same with cooking too. After marriage, no matter how late I work overtime, he never prepares anything whatsoever. And when I come home very tired, he, who is only playing games, saying something like, "I'm hungry, hurry up and make me something to eat." I can't tell you how many times I thought, if you have time to play games, you should be the one cooking. But despite my frustrations, I still loved Kevin. It wasn't that he doesn't have anything good, and there was something about him that made me feel attracted to him, so we stayed together. And Kevin would surprise me with gifts on our wedding anniversary or my birthday after we were married, so that I felt that we were still getting along well as a couple. We have been married for 3 years now. I think we're getting along reasonably well, even though we had some fights here and there. But then, with the death of my father-in-law, Jack, cracks began to appear in our marriage. As soon as Jack passed away, my mother-in-law, Mary, started coming over to our house a lot. It was lonely being alone, so it was nice to have someone next to me, even if we didn't talk that much. I didn't mind Mary coming over for a visit, but it was pretty frequent. Mary comes over every weekend. It was hard for me to spend my only day offs with my mother-in-law being there. And Kevin, on the other hand, would go out on his own, leaving me to take care of Mary. I also wanted to go out with my friends too, and I got irritated. Then one day, Kevin says to me, "Let's buy the condo." "What do you mean, all of a sudden?" "Well, because, if Mom is going to come visit us frequently, I thought it would be better to have a place with more space. Besides, didn't you want to buy a condo with bigger space too?" "Well, yeah, but what about the money?" "Well, we can manage if we both pay." I was actually impressed that Kevin was thinking so well of me. I had always been astounded by how selfish he was, but he was trying to make things better for us as a couple. "Well then, why don't we just go ahead and buy it?" When we searched for a place that we both would like and still be within our budget, we found a beautiful and spacious room, a little out of our budget, but close to the station and with good sunlight. "I don't know much about this kind of thing, so you can be in charge of this and proceed the contract with your signature?" Fine. You always make me do this kind of thing, don't you?" I didn't really realize the truth behind Kevin's behavior then. I was just so happy about being able to purchase a new home. Thus, we purchased a new condo and began to live there. It was very comfortable, and just living in it lifted my spirits. However, about a week after we started living there, Kevin said something outrageous. "Mom's coming over today." "Oh? She's coming over to look at our new place, right?" I thought it was a bit of hassle. I thought, well, we didn't invite Mary to our new place even once since we moved, so I suggested to Kevin that we could get her some snacks for the tea. Then Kevin says to me, "That's fine. Don't be too uptight at the beginning. It will be hard later on." What do you mean? About what? What you just said. You mean she's coming to... Oh yeah, I meant that she'd live with us. Huh? What do you mean? This is my first time hearing this. Oh yeah, I did just say now. Why? Is it bad? Well, it's only normal for you to at least consult and tell me before this happened. But we've got enough room, so it's fine. And plus, she can help you with house chores. That's not the point. Well, she's all lonely, and I felt bad. Hey, wait a minute now. How can you be so defiant about this? As I was getting angry with Kevin, the doorbell rang. Oh, Mom's here. With that, ignoring me, Kevin went to the front door and invited Mary in. Welcome home, Mom. Kevin, it's nice to see you again. Oh, what a nice house. It's so new, clean, and looks comfortable to live in. Mary came in with her big luggage. In the end, I had to allow Kevin forcing me into living with Mary. After that, living in our new apartment that we had bought became completely boring. Mary, who wasn't concerned about my arrangement of the interior and accessories in the living room, began to place unfamiliar ornaments in other places. I really didn't like how she decorates because Mary decorates with many different things and it makes it look messy. And there was another problem. Kevin wouldn't try to pay the loan. As I recall, before we bought the house, Kevin suggested that we would both pay for it. But when the time came to make the payment, he said, "No, we can't afford to pay the mortgage on my salary, so Jan, you pay." I said, "That's not what you told me," angrily, and Kevin would say such things like, "Well, it can't be helped. I thought I could pay for it before I bought it." In the end, I was left to take care of everything, including taking care of the lawn, the housework, and Mary. What on earth am I working for? It wasn't supposed to be like this, I thought to myself. But after, something happened which pushed my nerves even more. One day, Kevin called me into the living room. "What happened?" "This is the divorce paper." "Huh? What do you mean all of a sudden?" "I'm cheating on you, and I want to be with my mistress." "It's too sudden. I don't understand." "Please, I've decided." "What?" I couldn't think straight. Too many things were happening in a row, and I wanted to be angry, but I couldn't find the right words. "Please sign it. You probably wouldn't want to be with a guy like me." I certainly could no longer continue a relationship with a man who cheated on me with another woman. I thought to myself that actually this was perfect, and signed the divorce papers. "Thanks, Jan. I'll never forget you. I'll turn these papers in after work tomorrow. I think this will take me 2 or 3 days to leave the house completely." Would I now be a complete stranger to Kevin? I feel weird thinking this. Why did I let myself get carried away by him and by the house? Would I have to live alone in this big house from now on? Would I be able to bear the loneliness? I wondered about these points to myself. The next day, when I returned home after work, I found that Kevin's belongings were completely gone, and Mary was still there. Mary? Where's Kevin? And where are his things? Huh? Kevin said he was going out earlier on and left. As for Kevin's manga and video games, I think a buyer came and took them all with him. Huh? What? What happened? I heard Kevin say I'm decluttering everything once and for all. I finally knew that I got screwed. Kevin had sold all his belongings and disappeared, leaving Mary at home. I rushed to call Kevin, but he had already blocked my calls. I tried to call Kevin's office to get his contact information and address, but I was told that he had already resigned and had no contact information or his whereabouts. Kevin had planned all of this beforehand. In my room, I saw a note which said, "Take care of my mom. If you kick her out and she dies, I'll sue you." I was in a complete shock. Mary also saw his note and was shocked that her own son had abandoned her. What should I do from now on? Even though we're not related by blood, I just can't abandon her. But living together in this house didn't feel right too. I was so furious. I was very angry at Kevin for abandoning his own mother and for forcing everything on others so that he can be happy. I was determined to find out where he was, so I hired a professional detective from an agency. I asked them to find him, no matter how much it would cost. 2 months later, I received a call that they had located Kevin. It seemed like Kevin was living in a room in an apartment building. I took Mary with me to the room where Kevin lived, and when I pressed the doorbell, Kevin's mistress answered. "Who are you?" the mistress asked. "I'm Kevin's ex-wife." "Oh, but only if that man had probably filed the divorce papers. And she is Kevin's biological mother, whom he left at my house." "Huh?" The mistress, Emma, had no idea what was going on. "You have no clue about anything?" It seemed so." We were led to the living room, where I told Emma my whole story. Emma was absolutely horrified. Emma had been informed that Kevin was single and had never been married. And the time when Emma and him started dating coincided with the time that Kevin married me, so he was completely cheating on me this whole time. And as for Mary, he had told Emma that Mary was already dead. Oh my God, I'll never forgive him. "I'm so sorry. I really had no idea about all of this. I don't know what to say." I understand that you really had no idea about all of this, since it was Kevin's fault for falsely claiming to be single and dating you. We were charging alimony for your part as well. And about Mary, "Indeed, Kevin has a legal obligation to support and take care of his own mother. My father knows a lawyer, so I haven't taken any appropriate action." Then, at the right time, Kevin came home. Or should I say, it wasn't a right time at all for Kevin to come back. How did you know?" "Kevin, you've been deceiving me all along, huh?" No, you're wrong. We aren't engaged anymore. I will also demand alimony from you, definitely." "What? You can't ever run away now." "Kevin, you're not my son. You're nothing to me. Go to hell." "This house is under a contract with my name, so please leave immediately." Kevin looked horrified and just nodded his head. In the end, Kevin was sued for alimony by me and Emma, and regarding Mary, Kevin was obligated to pay the money for her to enter into a nursing house. Kevin was in a huge debt because of this incident, and now he's forced to live in a shabby apartment, working 3 part-time jobs to manage paying off his debts and live life in poverty. It's really a nice feeling to get back at him like this. Mary says that the people at the nursing house seem to be very kind and she has made some friends. I was lonely living alone in the apartment I bought under my own name, so I started sharing a room with a good friend of mine while she paid me rent. Every day, I enjoy sharing a room with my friends while having a drink with them in the evening. Well, I'm only 30 years old, so I think I will start dating again when I'm ready. Thank you for watching until the end. Please subscribe to our channel. See you in our next video.
If you are complaining about me defending my family, you get out of this house. You do know that this house belongs to my father, right? So if anyone's leaving, it's you. If your sister is so important to you, why don't you rent an apartment and live there with her and her child? I doubt whether your salary is enough to cover expense for the three of you, though. Shut up! Don't you dare make fun of me! With this, my husband slaps me on the cheek. Oh, that's what happens when you disobey me. If you don't want it to happen again, do as I say. My name is Kate, and I'm a 34 years old office worker. I currently live with my husband, Corey, and our 6-year-old daughter, Michelle. We live in an apartment which is just the right size for a family of 3. But recently, a certain individual suddenly moved in, and it has become a big problem. The certain individual is my sister-in-law, Judy. Out of the blue, she came to our house with her 3-year-old daughter. According to Judy, her husband is an abusive man who constantly harasses her at home. It seems he is physically violent too when things are rough. She says she was afraid of what would happen to her daughter if she stayed, so she came to our house. Her parents' house is in the countryside, and she doesn't want to move out of New York because her daughter just started kindergarten. Corey heard his sister's story and welcomed her into our house without any questions. Well, if that's the case, I'll be fine sheltering her for a while. This is what I thought at first. However, I gradually began to doubt whether Judy was speaking the truth. It's already been a month since she came here, but she hasn't shown any signs of preparing for divorce or looking for a new room or job. For a while, I guess it was necessary for her to take time to calm down and relax. But it's been a month. It's not wrong for me to think she should be making some kind of move. And I haven't heard whether her husband's been in touch either. I think maybe she's told Corey, so I try to ask him. But he says weird things such as, "I can't tell you, it's Judy's private matters." Corey is not the only one working and financially supporting the household, and I'm actually the one managing the living expenses and making sure ends meet. So I need to know how long Judy will be staying with us. Well, to be honest, I want her to leave as soon as possible. If Corey won't do anything, I will have to speak to Judy myself. Judy, when are you getting a divorce? Have you hired a lawyer? Have you found a room? But when I ask her these questions, she replies, "Oh no, I'm still too weak to go through all that," acting like this vulnerable being all of a sudden. But she eats so much of my cooking every day and goes out at night leaving her daughter with me. Most of the time, she comes home stinking of alcohol. When I point this out to Corey, he just says, "She had a tough time with her husband, repressing her, let her be," and does nothing. I had no idea because I didn't know Judy too well. But it seems Corey loves his sister too much. She is spoiled because of him. That's why she gets carried away and doesn't listen to me. Lately, I think she's gotten too used to living in our house She's always lounging on the couch. Even before I go to work, she's there on the couch. And when I come home from work, she's still there. She doesn't help with any of the housework, leaving the aircon on, and uses our groceries for her lunch without permission. So when I came home, the groceries I was going to use for dinner are gone. Sometimes I would have to go to the supermarket again to buy more. This continues, and before I know it, 2 months has passed since Judy and her daughter first came to our house. I really can't take it anymore. Can you please talk to her as an older brother? My patience is at an end. So one day, I asked Corey to tell his sister to get her act together.
What? You're going to treat my sister that poorly? She's my family.
How can you say that? I let her stay here 2 months even though she's done nothing. Isn't that generous enough? 2 months is more than enough time to get divorced and work sorted out. But she stays here every day doing absolutely nothing, only to leave the house at night to go and do whatever she pleases.
I'm telling you, it's just her way to relieve the stress of what she has been through.
We have passed the period completely. It's time for her to move on. With this, Corey snaps back at me.
Shut up! You know my sister suffered. You cold-blooded devil. Don't you have a human heart? I didn't think you were so cruel.
For once, I cannot back down. Okay, then you help me with the housework.
Huh?
Help me with the housework. We both work. So why am I the only one doing the housework and taking care of Michelle? If you care so much about your sister, then take care of this house too. At least drive Michelle to kindergarten. You've never done anything. You know that? It's not like you're going through a rough time right now, not like your sister. So you should be capable. With this, Corey doesn't know what to say. I guess he can't talk back because everything I said is right. All he can say to me is this.
Well, that's your job as a wife.
Huh? What was that? Are you harassing me? You say you're upset that Judy's husband is harassing her, but it's okay for you to do the same to me?
That's not what I...
Can I ask you to drive Michelle from now on?
Okay.
The problems with my sister-in-law haven't been solved at all, but for now, I'm glad that my husband is going to help me with our daughter. But this doesn't lessen my workload as much as I thought. Michelle goes to the ballet class, and it is my job to drive her there. She goes to ballet every Saturday, and Corey says he's worried about Judy and her daughter Amy. So he says he has to stay home with them. Well, I never expected him to drive Michelle on Saturdays too. But the problem is that the house is always a mess when I return. And I'm the one who has to clean up after them. When I ask Corey if he can at least keep the house tidy, he says,
I'm tired from all the driving, so let me rest on a Saturday.
When I ask Judy to help with the housework, Corey says she doesn't need to. So there she is every day just sitting on her ass. It's like she is princess. And Corey seems to be more fond of Amy, his niece, than his own daughter. It worries me that Michelle always seems so sad. I once asked her, "What do you talk about when Dad picks you up?" But she replied with, "We don't. Dad never says a word." When I heard this, I was absolutely mortified. I had no idea that he wouldn't talk to his own daughter at all. After hearing this, I'm filled with anger toward Corey, because he talks to Amy so much, to the point that even she would find annoying. My life has truly been stressful and emotionally draining since Judy's arrival. If she's going to stay any longer, I will have to come up with some measures for my own sake. And the timing to make her move comes faster than I thought. It is while I am in the bath, taking my time to relieve myself from all the stress, when I suddenly hear Corey shouting. I am so startled that I fling on my clothes and rush into the living room.
Michelle, do you know what you just did, huh?
As I reach the living room, I see my daughter trembling in fear with tears rushing down her face. Corey is red-faced and angry. No matter how many times Michelle apologizes, he yells, "You disgusting child! We need to beat that mean personality out of you," and won't listen to her at all. Hey, calm down. Think of what you're saying to her. I immediately stand between my husband and daughter, protecting her. Tell me what happened. I will decide whether you can tell Michelle off or not once I know what happened.
Michelle pushed Amy. She shoved her onto the floor.
What?
How dare she push my sister's daughter? I don't remember raising such a bad girl.
I can't believe it. My daughter is always kind and gentle. I can't believe she would push her cousin so violently. However, looking toward my sister-in-law and her daughter, I see that Judy is hugging and calming down on crying Amy. It was terrible things to do. You have to properly punish her, Corey. Glaring at Michelle, Judy eggs my husband on. Wait a minute. Maybe Michelle did push Amy, but why did she? She wouldn't do something like that without reason. With this, Corey replies,
Amy wanted to read the book Michelle was reading, and then she pushed her.
That was his explanation. Maybe it's just me, but it feels like he's leaving out some important points. Michelle, I won't be angry, so can you tell me the truth? The book you were reading, was it pulled away from you? I asked gently, and she nods. Maybe you were trying to keep hold of it, and then Amy's hand slipped and she fell over? Michelle nods repeatedly. I turn to Corey again. That's not what you told me. Michelle was shocked by the sudden pull, so she just tried to protect herself. She didn't push Amy.
Shut up! That doesn't change the fact she hurt my precious niece.
What are you saying? That your niece is more important than your daughter?
Of course she is. My family is the most important thing to me, which makes my sister's child precious to me as well. If you're complaining about me defending my family, you get out of this house.
I'm disgusted. This man has lost it. No matter how hard I try, we'll never understand each other. You do know that this house belonged to my father, right? With this, my husband looks startled. Judy seems upset too. Huh? What do you mean? She says. So, if anyone's leaving, it's you. If your sister is so important to you, why don't you rent an apartment and live there with her and her child? You will be happy, right? Because you love your sister so much. I doubt whether your salary is enough to cover expenses for 3 of you, though. It seems this was it for Corey.
Shut up! Don't you dare make fun of me!
With this, my husband slaps me on the cheek. Oh! I feel a twinkling pain in my cheek. It must be turning red too.
That's what happens when you disobey me. If you don't want it to happen again, do as I say.
I rub my cheek with my hand and say, "Fine, I will do as you say and leave." Packing my belongings, I take my daughter's hand and head to my parents' house. My parents are livid when I tell them what happened.
Divorce him. That's the only option. And I'm getting them to leave that apartment,
says my father, the owner of the apartment. But I'm sure Corey won't leave the house that easily. So for the time being, I decide to do some research to be prepared. I contact my in-laws to gather information about Judy's husband. I thought they might know something about him. However, they say they haven't heard anything from Judy. On the contrary, according to them, Judy and her husband's relationship was going well. I become increasingly suspicious of Judy's statements. But I've only briefly met her husband Stan, and of course, I don't have his contact info. My in-laws always contacted him through Judy, so they don't know how to reach him either.
I heard he works at a company named so-and-so. Why don't you try reaching out to them?
They say. So I head off to the company where Stan works. I vaguely remember his face, so I should be able to recognize him at the office. I stand outside the company near the end of the working hours and find him. When I call out to him, Stan is startled. Then he hurriedly asks,
"Do you know where Judy is right now?"
For a moment, I wonder if Judy really was suffering from this man. But it seems this is not the case. I go to a coffee shop with him and see what he has to say. Apparently, it was Judy who was the terrible one. Does Corey know about this? Well, it doesn't matter. Stan says he wants to help. So with him and my parents, we head to my house to see Corey and Judy. When she sees Stan, Judy is in shock. How did you find me?
Judy, you know you have to pay the compensation to me, right?
It turns out Judy's words were all lies and she was actually having an affair. To top it off, Stan had already divorced her, and Judy fled to this house because she didn't want to pay him. Stan didn't know how to contact Judy's parents, and he was too busy at work to visit them in the countryside. He was about to give up, unable to do anything about the situation. Are you still going to take your sister's side? I asked Corey.
Of course, it's his fault if his wife is cheating on him.
He answers. Unbelievable. Great. No need for me to have any tolerance for this man anymore. I'm divorcing you, and I want you out of here as soon as possible. You are trespassing on my father's property. I've got a medical certificate, and I've filed a damage report for a slap to my cheek. I'm going to file a lawsuit against you for inflicting injury. Hearing this, Corey starts to panic.
Wait a minute. You're joking, right? I'm sorry, it was all my fault. We can talk about this.
Corey begs me. Judy is begging Stan to forgive her as she has no money to pay the compensation, but there is no way we would forgive them. I never withdrew the report, so my husband is arrested and has to pay a fine. I also demand a divorce and child support through my lawyer. My ex-husband now has a huge debt. Judy has nowhere to run to anymore, so she has to pay the compensation too. Their parents find out about this incident and they disown Corey, while Judy is dragged back to their house. She is now being forced to work at their farm, and all her wages go to the compensation to Stan. Most of Corey's salary is used to pay off his debt, and he seems to be living a poor life. As for me, I've moved to an apartment near my parents' house, so Corey can't suddenly appear at my door. I'm enjoying spending my days with my daughter, just the two of us. She's now in elementary school, has new friends, and seems much happier than before. I'm hoping to continue working hard to raise my precious daughter. Loving his sister too much and injuring his wife? What sort of husband is that? His parents seem decent, so I wonder why these two siblings became so monstrous. At any rate, I'm glad that Kate and Michelle are living a peaceful life now. I hope they continue to live happily together. Thanks for sticking around until the end. Please subscribe to our channel if you enjoyed this video, and see you in the next one.